I think we're ready now to go to phase 3.
Yes, sir.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for New Sports. Victor Allen's unique fan-based view of sports, written by the bald-headed black man, the man the ladies have nicknamed Sexual Chocolate. A recurring segment of the Morning Coffee with Mario show. Here it is, everybody. Here's Vic. Yeah. Sports. And other goodies.
Yeah, right, man. You know, that last segment, man, was now that was informative. That was informative in a different way. In many ways, lack of information is information. So I found out that we have a lot more questions when you're talking about marijuana for dummies because of the distribution of it. And can't wait for January 1st to see what's up. And big ups to Denver, Colorado. I guess they're ahead of the curve, right? I just got to give them love, man. Now, of course, only because I love the institution of profitability.
Well, you see, it's amazing and interesting, the money things that go into it that just really... It just amazing. Gets you understand alcohol and everything.
Yes, it does. All right, man. Hey, check it out. I know I don't have to do this rewrite of everything. I'm just going to pull out the stories, dude, that I was checking out, that I like. And it's a certain thing that's happening in the NFL right now that I just go like, thank God they've twisted it to such a degree to be able to bring thinking outside of the box. And what I mean by that, love it, love it, love it. The NFL touchdown celebrations are creative and fun. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because there are no flags being thrown. So let me say this first, why they're not, in my belief, this is just my belief, why they're not throwing flags. These celebrations is so funny because the referees are taught to sit back, and I believe they actually had classes, dude. They had classes and said, so they said, if you see anybody doing like Brown from Pittsburgh, where they boom, gyrating, anything that seems like a sexual kind of thing where you're gyrating your hips a lot, oh, they'll flag that all day long, man. But they didn't prepare them for like bowling for eagles. So I'm sitting up here going, for me, I believe this is my fault. Now, just say not my fault, but my belief. Everybody loves this stuff because what they're doing. And then when I say love it, are we in that territory now? Because they only do it for about 5 or 10 seconds. Are we in that territory where Mr. Goodell is going to sit up here and he's already working on next year's rules, or are they going to leave it alone? And I got some examples here to show you, but my thing is, you love it. You can't wait to see it because they're not doing anything. The refs are in their faces and they're going, well, they didn't tell us about this type of celebration. So do you love it?
They didn't tell you, but let me just assure you, none of this is random at all. First of all, the studies that were looking at how people respond to these things have been ongoing for quite some time. They're constantly looking at this. The other thing is that the NFL actually, when they integrate these kind of rule interpretations, not only do they have big training sessions with all the referees, but they actually send out reps to each club to talk to the players. So the players were made aware exactly what they could do and what they couldn't do.
Right.
So none of it is no. The part that they don't know is that when they tell them what the rules are, they don't know what people are going to then come up with. But know that all of this is an orchestrated decision.
Of course.
And has been done and continues despite the fact that just this morning, folks like Stephen A. were...
Okay, I don't want to hear it. You know what?
I'm just saying that was the backlash. There's been some backlash from the traditionalists.
Let me say this. I believe it's his forum to sit back and have that backlash. You generate more viewers by having a backlash. He's an old school guy who says, I like the old school days. Now, of course, I can't remember his name. He worked formerly as a DB with Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, let
him have it right. Out of fun and out of love.
And a good way.
And I'm saying, and he didn't deny it. So here's the part. When you're at a game and you act as a fan and you actually see a touchdown, and you in the stadium, TV gives you close-ups of everything. But when you see a group doing something and it's synchronized, you can't help but say, oh, thank you. Please let this go. So what I'm doing right now is going to give you 3 or 4 choices. I only brought 3 or 4 references to see which theme of celebration you would have enjoyed seeing if you were at the game down near the goal line where they kick the field goals. And I'm going to go through the 3 or 4, and we're just going to say which ones you like, okay? So we start off with the first one. I call this Philadelphia Eagles bowling TD celebration. Now, you know, somebody gets in front of them, bowls, they all tumble down. Go to the next. Remember, back in the old days, this was for Stephen A. Smith. They used to say this is the horsey back ride. So if I say horseback, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea, but that's Gronk, New England Patriots, I got your back TD celebration. So while he's on back of Gronk, he's whipping that arm going, let's go, yeah, you know, do your whole thing, whatever you want to interpret. That's one other one. Let's go to the next one. Pittsburgh Steelers, let's shoot craps. So I'm sorry, dude. There's a video on this one. So if you guys want to go check out the video, go to the Pittsburgh Steelers Twitter account and you could actually see it. The next one, I like this one. Kansas City Chiefs, racing with the Chiefs. And so they're doing what they call imitating other forms of sports and activities not associated with football. I love this
some
stuff,
teams have
man.
probably even hired a consultant to come up with this stuff.
Man, it is great.
Well, my thing is, if you're going to do it well, and I wouldn't be willing to hire a consultant to train them.
Now,
in the few minutes I give them.
Right. Now, let me just say this. A la Stephen A. Smith and other people who are referencing this, they believe you don't do these celebrations because you have to win the game. So what he's saying is, if you do it,
I don't know
you wait until after to appreciate it.
The only
you can't
objection
do
that I can give is that I'm old and not used to it.
Right. Oh, I love it.
I don't have a real problem with it.
Right.
I thought it was okay before.
Yeah.
Till they outlawed it for whatever, then, here we go.
Hey, look, the idea that and I always say this, when you get conservatives in a room, and they go, oh, you know what? I can't have those kids seeing that gyrating body like that. I'm sorry, we can't do that. They are heathen. They're straight heathen, man. This is not cool. Now, of course, when they go watch them dancing at clubs, they gyrate their body all the time. But we can't have adults doing that. Then they think outside the box. So my whole point is that every time they find something, they find that they're in this quandary. And I said, and they've timed it out. They go, they rush, do it, 10 seconds, not to delay the game. Keep it up. I'm all for it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, man, I got to go over to the one that everybody's going to be talking about, because when somebody snatches your chain one time and they snatch it again, dude, this is where you get the punk move. Somebody snatches you 2 times, dude, you have to go there.
Bad. One could actually argue, I would say, hey, maybe you should wear the chain during the game.
I'm not worried about that.
I
agree.
That they can't grab
well, we know about what you shouldn't do. It's just the idea that this guy, look, Aqib Talib had to go there. This has been simmering for a time again. So let me first say what I'm not endorsing. It's bad for business, but good for entertainment. Mario, you're a fan. Bad for business, or would you prefer to see good for entertainment? See, this one, I love it. So you caught. Don't be thinking now. You're a fan.
It doesn't need to be every day. I don't want to overreact. On the one hand, it's not like where hockey fighting was every game.
Right.
That it was part of the.
Right.
So, the overall effect is probably good for entertainment. But once it becomes a recurring thing,
it's bad.
So for business reasons, you have to come down on them hard.
Right. And they are.
Let it be good. Yeah. Let it be good for business, but that doesn't mean that you don't discipline them and deal with.
They're going to discipline.
You're going to have to.
They're going to get.
If it was bad for business,
right.
So deal with it when it's good for business, but just still deal with it.
Right. Look, this is not good. Because another player on the Raiders, one of the linemen, he got ejected as well. And they dealt with bumping into the referee and the whole thing. So they're going to be suspended.
Well, welcome Crabtree. Richard Sherman used to stay in his ass. He never.
Yeah, but see, Talib is a different monster. He's straight doing this. And I think Crabtree got punked a lot. Imagine somebody coming off the team and somebody snatched your chain. What do you think they're telling you?
Maybe he was tired of being put. Because Crabtree, I thought that was a thing that everybody was in his shit.
Look, he's not a rookie anymore. He's already seasoned. He had enough. The guy snatched his chain again. It was a good play, what they were working with. There was a good play. He did his job. But as he was blocking him, and you don't see this until you go to the next photo. So going down to the next photo, and you'll see what I'm talking about for those who see it. When you go to the left frame, his job was to keep blocking him and block him. And he was pushing Talib back. You know what Talib did? I'm snatching your chain again. Snatched it. That's when they went in and the all-out war. They got into the scuffle with the group, everybody down there, and you thought it was over. Once they got back up, and the real punches were being thrown. So after they cooled them off, they went back to the punching, which is where you lose, because at the end of the day, even as the coach said, we lost our edge when we lost that player who defends those wide receivers, and we have to bring him back up. So at the end of the day, yeah, entertainment is one thing, but when the team loses, you have no excuse for it. And no, I'm not supporting it. I do like to see a rivalry. I just like to see it where it doesn't go to the point where, you lose out on the business of it all, because at the end of the day, you can't beat the system. The system is going to turn around and say, look, we can keep penalizing you over and over again. And at the end of the day, you're going to be losing money. And if you lose on the team level, then you're going to find out they're going to negotiate some way of getting you out of there. So no. Did I like it? Yes, for the moment. Do I want to see it continue? No, but I do want to see good rivalry, enough that you turn around and not get suspended. So that's all I'm saying, man. It was good enough, Mario. I agree with you. It's bad business. All right, switching over, because I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between mediums here. I'm going straight over to the NBA because I think this is a big talking point. And I'm not sure if the meltdown of injuries for Derrick Rose is making him gone, goodbye. He's frustrated. And when he takes a toll physically, because those injuries are continually hitting him, the constant injuries, the missed games, it must be taking a toll. And he has to deal with the money that he could walk away from $70 million or a $70 million contract because of his injuries. All right, we know that he has to deal with what's the best for him. There are some off-court things he has to deal with in his life. So I'm wondering, is it just about the injuries? And we don't know what he's doing in his personal life, but listening to the LeBron interview and everything, you can tell there's something else going on that they have to get behind him as a man and an individual. And should they already just say, hey, look, we have to plan to move forward? They're going to stay with him?
Well, I think if the injuries are taking their toll and he's gotten another injury and they're taking his toll, I think it becomes obvious. He's talked about this also previously.
Yes, he has.
And said that he had concerns about what his after sports life would be in terms of his abilities to move around and do things and all that. So he's expressed this before.
Yeah.
But again, hopefully not making any decisions in the heat of passion.
Yeah.
Like you need to go away from it for a minute and think, but don't make that. And I agree with taking some time to think.
Yeah, I do too.
But I think it's a heavy deal to deal with that stuff.
This is the part that's hard. He is connected to other people's livelihoods, and now they have to weigh that you being away is affecting other things down the line.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, other players have been injured and have had to deal with tragic injuries, career-ending injuries. All of them wish they could sit back and have that fulfilling contract. Because after you get over the injury, because he will get over his injury.
Maybe. Maybe.
If he's not playing anymore, he won't have to deal with them the same way.
Yeah, that's why I said, so I don't know. I think he has to do what's best for him.
Yeah. Okay.
This is not a time you do what's best for the team.
Right. And then
specifically, you do not do what's best for the team.
Right.
Specifically, you do what's best for you.
For you. Yeah, and I agree. Here's the part that I'm linking the story to. Aren't the Cavaliers lucky? Thank God.
They got a bunch
Thank God.
They have a bunch. It solves one of their issues.
What?
That's a sad statement for them.
Yeah, but see,
but he still was actually doing the best job at point.
But it's not the part I was going to. You're right. I'm going to this. You guys are so damn lucky. I guess LeBron will never get injured And if he get injured, would you guys feel the same way? Because right now, people around him, you think about the sensitivity. Everybody's flirting with some type of injury.
They seem to be handling it in a pretty cool way as it relates to Derek to me. They seem to be showing him
I think
a lot of consideration, which I think is wonderful.
There's no question he's getting the backing and love. And everybody cares about basketball is only a temporary moment in your life. It's bigger things. But he now has to be thinking like a businessman. And if that's what he's doing, he has to say, let me apply this, because you got people around him going like this. There's a lot of money being left on the table. How are we going to work this? And so I agree. Take care of what you need to take care of off court. Hopefully there's some transitioning. My fears and my question is, have we seen the last and the best of Derrick Rose as it relates to his injuries? It's just a question.
Well, I don't think he's... I commend him on what he's been able to do so far.
Yeah, I'll have no argument at all. I just, things are the way they are. All right, I'm jumping to another area. Like I said, I'm jumping around. This is totally different. Look, I usually don't talk about college football until you start knocking off the top dogs. And since Alabama is always the top dog and everybody else is going through the circle, I call this roundtable and re-rank. When I say that, I feel that there's some injustice, happening here, because here's the part that's happening. Our Pac-12, or whatever you want to call the group, we're not going to be playing in this college football playoff. It ain't happening. A lot of things have to take place for USC or Washington to even climb in beyond the top 10 to even get in the top 4 or 5. I'm leaving that alone. Hey, look, that's just the way it is. Alabama loses to Auburn 26-14, and then of course Miami, who's number 2, they lose to Pittsburgh. So the top 2 teams lost. So when they actually go look at the re-rank, the re-ranking has Clemson, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and Auburn. Now I'm saying this for a reason. They say strength of schedule is what they're using against you when they say you haven't played a strong enough team. Can you imagine Wisconsin sitting up here going like this? So we're the only undefeated team. Well, we're ranked 3rd. And if you look at the college football playoff, we're barely in and we're undefeated. Is this a disservice based on, well, you guys, you're not the SEC, but you're undefeated. And they're flirting with barely being in at that 3rd or 4th spot, maybe even 5th in the college football playoff ranking. This is not the football playoff ranking. This is just the AP coaches ranking. Do you believe that the powers that be are guiding where they would like teams to be playing? Or you just believe strength of schedule has a lot to do with it, undefeated otherwise or not?
Well, wherever coaches vote, there's inherently bias.
I agree.
So that's just the way that works.
I agree.
You just decide that you're in favor of that bias because you support the institution.
That's right.
It's like the Academy Awards.
Right.
Okay, so, but other than that, the computer algorithms that look at the win-loss records of the previous year,
right,
and use those to determine the strength of schedule, right, that's at least based to a degree on some kind of a mathematical algorithm to determine the relative strength of schedule. It's based on the people in the schedule, right, their own win-loss, so different conferences have a weight and all that. Mm-hmm. Not that it's perfect, but at least it represents some degree of an attempt at objective science.
Right.
So at least I'd be more in favor of this. The part I wasn't understanding clearly, Vic, was which ones are being used here. Is this the one where the coaches vote, or is this the one, or is it a combination? Because the strength of schedule mm-hmm. is pretty much, as far as I know, always done as a mathematical
right.
algorithm.
Right.
So it may be, because this happens, mm-hmm. in an effort to show some balance, sometimes when we traditionally do the coaches voting,
right.
we decide to now add the mathematical in
right.
and give them both weight
right.
as an intermediate kind of phase, because you're shifting
right.
from the good old days where it was all coaches.
Yeah.
And you can't go to, because this, as far as I know, this is the same kind of question they had about whoever was the championship. It's the same kind of question, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're hitting another nail on the head, too, because when they say strength of schedule, I went to look at that for the top 10 teams. Out of the top 10 teams, I believe it's either Southern California and I can't believe it's one other team that have the strongest strength of schedule, but they're not in. So the part that I'm getting at is when you look at it, they go, well, it's who you lost against, I guess, that's taking the weight. I said, but strength of schedule. If you find yourself playing the best teams at the time, you're going through a rough hurdle milestone week to week. If that's the case,
and if it's based on last year,
right?
What if it's not? It's usually not based on this year, Vic.
Right.
Keep that in mind.
No, I understand
it's based on the way they did last year,
right?
Then they calculate the strength of schedule,
which gets
it could be different this year,
right? And right now, what I keep saying is, since the formula like that, when you see it, when you look at the categories, these strengths of competition or strength of schedule, and all those other factors, I said, well, I'm looking at these teams, and I said, oh, I forgot about this. This is where you automatically say, because the Big Ten has been slamming this year. I have to give it to them. I'm a Pac-12 guy. We're in West Coast, but they've had more teams playing and knocking each other off, which is a strength of conference schedule. The SEC is not as strong this year, but because when they start playing, they automatically get the hoopla. You get it automatically. I said, well, if I look at Alabama, the way you guys were talking about them, it looked like Auburn had it kind of easy over them. Does that mean, oh, well, now Auburn beats the mighty Alabama? I said, yeah, but the strength of schedule for Alabama was kind of weak. So again, what does that say?
When you base it on the previous year, you're sort of stuck with that.
Yeah.
That's what it was. At least it's already done, and it's the most fair.
Right.
It can never, you could try to, there could be ways to bring in this year's performance, but I offer that's not, to me, worth the problems. You have to recalculate it every single week.
Right.
Right. You'd have a changing strength, which could be done computer-wise, though.
True.
It could be done computer-wise. I just think it's a matter of us agreeing that the strength of schedule is calculated at the beginning of this year.
Right.
And being done. But your argument is there. All of these are, none of these are perfection.
True.
So you have to make a decision to accept the flaws.
Right.
Right? It's like having an umpire in baseball, right? Can you replace that with a digital readout of where the ball goes?
Right.
That would be 100% accurate?
Right.
Okay.
I think they're categories of we take a third of this, third of that, third of that. I think the whole breakdown, whether it's 25%, 25, 25, 25. I think they're right. I think the one that gets in the way for anyone on the West Coast, and I'm not saying that USC should be in the Final Four. I'm saying the weight of where they're at is lower, and as far as these conditions, and the one that they say that mostly relate to that is the games are played late. And so coaches are not watching those games. So they just have to use their formula of, well, who won? Okay, I saw them 2 weeks ago. And when you throw that in, there's heavier weight against them, even for that percentage. So I'm not...
Yeah, even though I could make the argument that because they're human beings,
right?
If it wasn't that the games were late, there would be a different bias.
Right.
There still would be a bias. There's human beings.
Right.
So people say, well, it's because they don't watch the games. I say, if you actually remove that, I can guarantee you
it's always
there would be other biases.
Right.
That would there would probably be the regular old regional biases that exist. You know more of the people around you.
Right.
Sometimes that allows you to vote more for them or vote against them, but it definitely affects your vote.
Right. So I don't have to comment on a Final Four for the college football playoff because I don't know who the hell is going to be there because they still have 1 or 2 more games to go. But we're near the end run in Wisconsin. I'm not voting for you guys. That's not my team. But I can imagine how you guys feel. It says, so we're undefeated. And, okay, so we'll be one of those rare undefeated teams that can't crack the top 3. Going to the next, NFL. Simple. I'm going to keep this around L.A. because I don't talk about L.A. too much. Do you know the L.A. Chargers are 1 game out from leading their division, Mario? Mm-hmm. The defense is stepping up, bro.
Seems like it worked out good for everybody this year.
Talk.
Everybody. You know, I have to say, and even though traditionally I get a little bored with the Chargers, even though I'm a supporter of Phillip Rivers. I really support him.
Right.
But now, one thing I can say, and I have said it, Vic, it's nice to have teams doing like this because it's caused people who previously didn't expect to support it to be more supportive. I, for one, have been more supportive of the Rams just because they look more like a team that's doing something. So sorry to say we had to say, well, you're not sorry. The coaching changes worked out wonderfully. We like what's happening with San Diego, coaching changes too. So we're happy. I'm happy with the Lakers. I'm just happy.
Wait a minute.
I'm not happy with is the Clippers.
Wait.
And that's okay.
We haven't got that yet. We haven't got there yet, man. We'll get there.
I'm just happy.
Hey, look, I'm just saying this. To watch the Rams, I like that they're entertaining. I have no expectations that they're going to the Super Bowl. I like the way they are playing. It bodes well for the future. What I'm shocked a little bit about is how Kansas City is rolling out the red carpet of mediocrity in their playing. And now here's the Chargers. And their strength of schedule, as they play the upcoming teams, they really went through the gauntlet already. They got a good sound defense. The front four can actually do the job without having to commit other linebackers, anyone to pressure the quarterback. So their defense is sound. They got a good Phillip Rivers quarterback who's leading them. And I'm literally sitting here. If you would have asked me 4 or 5 weeks ago, based on how they were playing, I said, they're going to end up leading the division. Even more so than, say, the Oakland Raiders, which everybody had way up there. We got the Rams and we got the Raiders. Who, if you had to make a money bet, if they both make the playoffs, we see that the Rams are probably going to do it. But the NFC is tighter and it's harder because they got a lot more parity in there. The AFC is basically, they're not even at 500 ball yet and threatening to lead the division. So they could do less, win less, and still win the division. If you had to put your money on the LA team getting farther in the playoffs, who would you select?
Well, I like the Rams. The issue with the Chargers is that they are clustered right there. One game from the lead. Kansas City in the lead was 6 wins and 5 losses. But the Chargers and Oakland both have 5 wins and 6 losses. So that's a toss-up in my mind to see. And also none of them strong enough.
Right.
I like the Chargers in that group.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But even still, I don't think they have enough to beat the better teams. But then when you go look at the Rams, it's a whole different thing. I mean, just without looking at where they rate, I say I know they can beat everybody except Philly.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the whole thing.
Which they're going to play Philly.
And that's what we have to see.
Right.
Everybody else we expect them to beat.
Right.
Everybody else except, even though you know that Minnesota and Detroit look good and have a chance.
Right.
Even the Saints and Carolina look good and have a chance. But those are games you'd like to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I'm saying this. At one time I was saying it would be good just to get in the first round for the LA Rams. Then I'm watching the Chargers play and I'm going, oh man, they're taking advantage of the AFC being a weaker division because you have Pittsburgh and New England, not in that order. Everybody else is kind of jumbled about trying to find their footing. Where in the NFC, you got multiple teams vying for the top position. So the bet would be that the Chargers could go further because they have less, to go against with top teams. But the Rams, because how they play. So if I had to do a money bet, ask me week 16. There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. Yeah. All right. Hey, I'm not going to say too much about basketball because we already touched to me on the big story, which is Derrick Rose and Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Cleveland Cavaliers started playing better ball. First thing that happened, their defense starts to show up. It's always the same thing. It's that defense. And maybe we're just looking at teams that a lot of players are not in condition. Boston still's doing their thing. Detroit's next. Cleveland's right up there. But now without Derrick Rose, do you see them, if Derrick Rose is not there, do you see them falling off at all? At all. I mean, when I say falling off, substantially, not barely. None.
No, because I think other things are happening right now. I think that it's been so many, that's a lot of players to change out.
Sure is. So got to get used to each other.
That's really been. I watched Crowder
He's good.
And I was thinking, wow, he's slowly starting to fit in.
He has to find his place.
It's too much of that. There's a lot of it. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying you have to allow time for this for this team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, to continue to gel.
Right.
That's the one thing. I expect that they will get better throughout the year.
Yeah. Okay.
And if injuries do well, then they should be in a good position in the playoffs.
Right.
Even though I don't know. They're an unknown quantity. But at least they may be well positioned for the playoffs if they don't have any other injuries.
Yeah. The only other topic I got is Oklahoma Thunder. It takes time. They still are actually equal with the Lakers in their record. They're 8-11. Now, it's only 19 games in. How many games you think, just if you had to put a number on it, before they start gelling, before Oklahoma, who has the best formidable top 3 players to go up against the Golden State Warriors or any other team, you think it's going to take about 40 games? Do you think that you'll get Carmelo, because they're playing good defense, dude? I didn't think Paul George and Carmelo and they would play defense like
hustling.
This. They are doing it, man. So all they need
to Carmelo's trying to prove a point.
so
no, I give it February.
Okay, right before All-Star.
Yeah.
Okay, so All-Star.
And I don't know how many games that it is.
That's around 40. 41.
I'm giving it enough time. It's continuing to evolve, and not just them. The Cleveland, the Clippers.
Oh, right.
Even though we'll see which way they're evolving.
Dude.
Well, we'll still see. Give it a minute.
Their lead point guard is out for the year. Injury. Patrick Beverly gone.
Yeah.
Okay. And now Austin Rivers, just so you know, is not your lead point guard, the traditional type. And they're already talking about the possibility of DeAndre Jordan when he gets that max contract right now, based on where you see the Clippers at 7-11, no point guard coming in. There's not much out there available in the market. Will they be playing 500 ball? That's dude, 500. They're equal with the Lakers.
These are the times that try men. So there are people out there that you can use. They have to make wise decisions.
It doesn't look good.
It doesn't have to be an absolute,
It doesn't look good.
Well, I'm sure they don't look good for the playoffs, but they should still attempt respectability based on what they have.
Here's a question going out. Clippers don't make the playoffs? Is there a bigger change in the organization?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm out.
Victor Adler's New Sports, a unique fan base, U.S. Sports, a recurring segment of the Morning Coffee with Mario show. Get it here every week. Remember to dress appropriately. Sports bras, and jock straps. Everybody, be there. Don't be square. Yeah. Yeah. All right.